Hello, welcome to the Courageous Self-Care podcast. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. On this show, we talk about self-care that helps women who are feeling overwhelmed and overworked and underappreciated move into self-love, self-connection, and make changes from the inside out. So often when we think about self-care, we think about action items, doing stuff we do on the outside. And those are all super important, and I love going to the spa as much as the next person. And at the same time, a massage or a bubble bath or a glass of wine, they aren't going to do the same thing as doing some serious soul searching, going within and finding out what changes need to be made from the inside out. All of those kinds of self-care are important. And I feel like so many women have been taught to just focus on the external. And then it's so hard. And we feel guilty when we aren't able to make it happen. We can always do stuff on the inside. There's more than enough time. All you need to do is change a little bit of what's going on in your mind. That's a great starting point. And have a mindset shift. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. So I've noticed from doing this podcast for the last several months and from exploring courageous self-care over the last several years that it really benefits people to have face-to-face interaction. We can be connected with people all over the world online, and yet we're human beings, and we need to gather in community. And so that's why I've created the Courageous Self-Care Festival that's happening in the fall, in November, in Calgary, in Canada, where I live. And I have a whole bunch of speakers and marketplace wellness experts coming to share what they feel is self-care to them. But they're so good that I couldn't just keep them to myself and the people who are attending. And so today I have a guest with me, Irene Bryant. Irene, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So Irene, I'm so excited for you to be here today. You have such a powerful message. So why don't you share briefly about who you are and what you are up to?
Well, I am a senior, almost 72, living my life to the fullest and free from any holdbacks of resentment and bitterness, which I suffered from for quite a while. And I've experienced the freedom and forgiveness. So I have a passion now to share that with others and help them if they want the help.
I feel like that is so important. And as I was developing courageous self-care, I noticed that for me, the biggest thing about self-care is having more renewable and sustainable energy for myself. And that's what I started noticing with my clients too, is that once we're able to shed these energy drains, to plug them up and stop them from leaking out our energy, we have so much more energy to give to ourselves and then to others. And freedom through forgiveness is one of the foundations of courageous self-care in my books. And so I know you feel the same way. What are you going to be sharing at the festival and why is it important to you?
Well, it is very important to me because I see and have heard so many people's stories. And some of them don't even realize how negatively this holding on to a grudge or resentment is hurting them. Sometimes it's with their sleep. Sometimes it's definitely their health. You know, for me, I had stage 4 throat cancer. I couldn't stand up for myself. I didn't know how to express my feelings or my anger, and I had resentment towards the abuse that I was experiencing in my second marriage. So I want to be able to share some things and some insights, even some things that people can do to help them realize, are they being affected that way? And then how to be free. And when we're free, we have the energy and we have the peace and the joy and the enthusiasm to do what we're called to do, what our mission is or what our purpose is, or even to do our work better and our relationships improve. Everything improves. So that's what I want.
It's so important, and I totally get what you were saying. Now, I know a lot of people have this misconception about forgiveness in that if you forgive someone for what they did to you, you are condoning their behavior. So what do you have to say about that?
Forgiveness does not condone any abusive behavior. Someone once said, though, that holding on to the bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't work. Our unforgiveness doesn't hurt the other person. It only hurts us, but it does not condone abusive behavior. But it helps us take back our power instead of giving the abuser the power to continue hurting us. For some people, it's been years. So no, we have to set boundaries. We are okay to say no to abuse. We're okay to address it, but holding on to that forgiveness doesn't hurt anybody but us. So that's what we need to get free.
I totally agree. And I have another question around forgiveness for you. So a more personal one. What was it that led you to discover that forgiveness was so important? Was it a specific moment or a series of events? How did that unfold for you?
Well, I am a Christian. I've studied the Word and a lot in the Word about forgiveness. It's not just for Christians. It goes across the board for sure. And I started forgiving way back in my first marriage, married to a man who was an alcoholic and also a womanizer. Actually, I started with my dad. It was the same way. And I had done a lot of work on it. But, things had been hidden. I discovered one time when someone asked me about the unforgiveness in my heart, I realized, I've forgiven my dad for the kind of father he was, but I had not forgiven him for the kind of husband he had been to my mother, with the alcoholism and the womanizing. And my attitude towards men was not very good because of that behavior and my first husband and then the abuse from my second. So I realized if I want to be free, I really need to forgive. And it's made a huge difference. Friends with people, and especially my both husbands, we were friends after that. And we're able, even though we were divorced, we were able to communicate with my first husband, share family gatherings, and it is just amazing the difference it makes in our lives. And so I was so grateful to have more insight, into that. But reading the Word has helped me. Some people meditate and they hear, we listen to our bodies, we listen. And that's so important that we, are listening and paying attention, to what's going on. And sometimes that realization will just come to us. Oh my gosh, I can't live this way anymore.
Right. So speaking about bodies and forgiveness, do you think forgiveness led to you in any way to healing from the throat cancer?
Yes, because partly it also freed me up to be able to express what I was feeling and saying, learn to set boundaries. Now, and of course, in God's Word, it's to forgive. When we say, even in the prayer that we pray, forgive us as we forgive others. We're expected to forgive. And, but I have a clip on a Jewish lady who is amazing. And she was treated at Auschwitz with drugs by the doctor. And in her 80s realized, I can't live this anymore. My unforgiveness isn't hurting that doctor. And her testimony is powerful, how she came to that realization. I have one of a Muslim lady who forgave the murderer of her son. Oh my gosh, this goes right across. It's universal and so important. But people realize the harm it's doing to them, and then they know. And there's ways. And that's why I help people. I work with people wanting to be free and listen, guide them, however, to come to that realization and freedom in the forgiveness process.
Absolutely. You're never done with forgiveness. Like, it's a lifelong experience. It's a lifelong practice, like yoga. You're never perfect at it. There's always someone to forgive or something, including yourself. That can be the hardest one.
That is the hardest one. I remember the mistakes I made with my children growing up. And one day my son said to me, "Mother, we have forgiven you. Will you please forgive yourself?"
Yes.
I still have a problem today. I have to ask for forgiveness a lot when I'm driving and people are going slow in the fast lane or cut me off. And I'll say, oh, forgive me for calling that guy an idiot. But he was driving like an idiot. We can't be so hard on ourselves and think we have to be perfect. It's not about that at all.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that.
Yeah. You see the love that's available for us.
Absolutely. So I have, in this idea of courageous self-care, I've combined the ideal and the virtue and the practice of courage along with self-care, because I feel like they go hand in hand. For true self-care to be taking place, courage is necessary pretty much every time we decide to care for ourselves and love ourselves. But for the purposes of this interview, I'm going to break them up. So, Irene, what would you say self-care means to you?
It's really taking time for myself. When I grew up, it was always you had to give, and I feel that's very important. Yes, I am a giver. But unless we're receiving the love, receiving the quietness, receiving everything, what do we have to give? And so we need to fill up first in order to give it. So taking that quiet time for ourselves and then doing something we love to do. For me, it's ballroom dancing. Golfing in the summer, but ballroom dancing. And it's good exercise, good, working with other people, not working with them, playing actually with other people, the community, right?
Yeah.
So quiet time and doing something for fun or that you enjoy.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Those are perfect examples of self-care. And now moving on to the courageous part, what I've been getting our festival speakers and guests to do is share something that not a lot of people know about you. So what might that be for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've shared about the dancing and everything. I love speaking. I love it. I've been speaking since grade 6. And a lot for definitely just giving and wherever I can speak. And if I could go speaking every day and dancing every night, wow, I'd be my glory. And actually, I'm going to be setting up some lunch and learns at the Legion. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, so we dance Tuesdays and Thursdays. Let's do a lunch and learn from 11 to 12:30, and then let's dance from 1 to 3. Combine it all. Why not, eh?
Architecting the perfect life. Do you remember what your first speech was about in grade 6?
Yes, I think it was about stopping smoking. And you know what? It was all from the Reader's Digest. And then they threw me out because I had just about copied the whole thing.
That's hilarious.
So I learned from that, no, you just do your own speech. You don't take anybody else's. And that was in grade 6. So.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. I remember one of my first talks was, I also love speaking, and one of my first talks was in French. I grew up doing French immersion, and I wrote a talk about why we should save the dolphins, pretty much. That's what it was about, and how fishermen could go about catching their fish without harming dolphins. And I followed the teacher's instructions. I wrote down my speech. I gave the speech, and all of a sudden I found myself in a speaking competition that I didn't even know I had entered. And I kept on doing this speech over and over and over, and ended up, I don't remember, I got second place maybe. So yeah, I think that was one of the places where speaking first came alive for me. And if I can do it in French, I can sure do it in English.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's good.
Now, not everyone who's listening is going to be able to attend the festival, unfortunately. So for people who have felt a connection with you, they want to know more about what you're up to, how can they find you online, Irene?
Just go to irenebryant.com, and they will also see my book there. I wrote a book, Finding Hope in the Midst of Adversity. It has blessed so many people, even around the world. A pastor in Pakistan translated it into their language and gave it out to as many people as he could, to different churches, pastors, people who met. And people have said, oh, I bought your book. I was so helped by it that I am now in a course on forgiveness and I'm getting free. And it's not just about forgiveness, or it's not just about me and about the journey through cancer, but all the miracles that also happened in that journey. So it's a fun book to read as well.
Yes, you have a fantastic sense of humor, so I know that there will be lots of funny bones being tickled.
Yeah, and tears and help. But so www.irenebryant.com. There is a contact page if they would like a quiz that I send out. I'll be sending out a quiz and in the free bag, the quiz for people to do a self-analysis. Am I holding on to bitterness? Am I even aware of it? And then a half-hour free conversation, either by phone or Zoom or however, to talk about that. And maybe I can help somebody wherever they are.
That's super generous. So when you go to irenebryant.com, you can go to the contact page and request the self-assessment quiz to see if you're holding on to forgiveness and bereavement. And then Irene will walk you through it on a half-hour call that is complimentary. That sounds amazing. And that is also what you are going to be putting in physical format into the swag bags that we're giving out to the first 100 people who attend the festival. So they'll have a paper copy to be able to take action on that quiz right away. And it's so valuable to take these kinds of quizzes and assessments because I feel like the greatest journey we go on in this lifetime is personal discovery and finding out who we are, learning our gifts and talents, and then sharing them openly and lovingly with others. And so I do encourage you to access that quiz, whether you're coming to the festival or whether you are far away and unable to attend. Make sure you do reach out to Irene because so valuable and freedom awaits on the other side. Irene, thank you so much for being a guest here today and for being a part of the festival. I am so grateful that our paths continue to intersect and that we can share our passion for people healing from the inside out.
Thank you, Christina. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So if you are in Calgary or nearby and you would like to attend the festival, as a thank you for listening to this episode, I would love to give you a complimentary ticket. You can even bring a friend. All you need to do is register both you and the lucky person who you're going to bring at selfcareticket.com. And all the links we've talked about today are in the description of the podcast, so you can easily click there. Thank you very much for listening. Irene, thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. If you enjoyed this one, let us know. You can leave a like, leave a comment, share it with your friends, become a follower on whichever platform you're listening to. The more we tune into prioritizing our own well-being, the better the world we will end up living in. So thank you for listening. I'll connect with you again next time. Bye-bye for now.